Good morning, folks. Let's talk for a second about zero turns. You have probably seen this zero turn on my channel before. This zero turn, I got a few years ago. I got it from Plumber Gilbert. Plumber Gilbert can find me just about anything I need to find. I say, hey, I'm looking for an old three-wheeler. So keep your eye out for me. And he came up with this one. And then I was asking him, hey, I'm buying some land pretty soon. Keep your eye out for a four-wheeler. You know, somebody's got a junk one. And then he came up with this little Honda right here. So when I said, hey, Gilbert, keep an eye out for a zero turn for me, he found this one. It was a friend of his. It was sitting in the backyard, and it broke on this guy evidently. And I don't know what Gilbert paid for it. I'm sure he had to give some money for it. So he got this one for me, and here's some pictures of it. You can see that somebody had wrecked the back of it, and it was the cover on it was broken. The fuel pump wasn't hooked up. I don't know how long it wasn't running. It didn't seem to have very many hours on it, but it does smoke a little bit when I start it up. I think the engine's got more hours than it really is showing here, or it was not very well taken care of. But you know what? I've been using this for years. It works great. I took it out to Perrin and mowed with it one time, and quickly realized that it's not something to use out there. But I love using it here. It is so useful. I can mow Betty's yard next door. Sometimes I'll catch Troy's. It takes just minutes to mow, and it's fun. I enjoy it. So out in Perrin, I've got the big brush hog on the back of Dad's tractor, and I love brush hogging too. That is for some reason a pleasure of mine. But it is difficult to get around underneath some of the trees and around the fence line. So my plan was to look for a commercial zero turn that I could use out there in Perrin. And I don't necessarily need a commercial. One like this was about $3,000 brand new at Lowe's, Home Depot. You can get them used on Facebook Marketplace for anywhere between $700 and $1,200. The next step up, what they call a commercial residential one, I think they're around $5,000 or $6,000, and they're a little better. And then the next step up is the full-fledged commercials, and I think they're around $9,000 or $10,000. And everybody makes one: Hustler, Toro, Ariens, Ferris, and now Steel just came out with one. Mike Morgan from Outdoors with the Morgans has just recently got a Steel loaner. And he was showing it, and lo and behold, look how much it looks like a Ferris. And he even mentioned that it might be a Ferris. It's funny. You'll buy a Steel because you're a Steel lover, and I love Steel stuff, don't get me wrong. But it is a Ferris mower, it looks like to me, which are great mowers. So I was looking on Facebook Marketplace for a commercial, and I came across this Hustler that was $2,500. I messaged her and said, hey, you know, I'll give you $2,000. She said, no, I got to take $2,500 for it. I was trying to pull the trigger on that one to buy it. It seemed like it would be a good mower. It's a little dirty, but a good mower. And was really looking for something more of a fixer-upper. And there was not a lot of the commercial type out there that were fixer-uppers. So that girl never got back with me on that. I brought my trailer to work. I was going to go buy it as close to where I worked, and she never messaged me back. So the search was on for a nice commercial mower that I could find. I wanted something that had big back tires, a large mowing deck on it, and a separate air filter case in the back, you know, with a big air filter on it. And I did end up coming across one that was a bush hog. And I know bush hog makes rotary cutters to go on back of tractors. I did not realize they made commercial and residential zero turns like they have been for years. And I came across one, a guy wanted $1,500 for it. He said it ran but had some carburetor problems. And I was going, hey, that's just right up my alley. Offered him $1,000, he wouldn't take it. He ended up taking $1,200 for it. So at this point, I went down there to go pick it up with my small trailer, my utility trailer, thinking that this monster was going to fit on it, and it didn't fit on there. And that was about an hour south of Fort Worth that I went to go pick that up. He said, I can get it on your trailer for you if you can get it off. I said, sure, I can get it off. So he came up with this rickety old Bobcat, smoking, and it had these super long forks on it. And he threw it on the trailer sideways. And I drove it home that way, thinking, oh yeah, I'll figure out how to get it off. It's very worst, I could take it out to Perrin and get it off with the tractor or the Bobcat. But I want to work on it here at the house. So you can see here, I had no idea how I'm going to get it off this trailer, but my thought was, let me pull it underneath the pecan tree and I'll get a ratchet strap and I'll see if I can ratchet strap it off of there a little bit at a time. And that's what I ended up doing. I got a ratchet strap hooked around it, lifted it up a little bit, and then the way ratchet straps, you can only go up a certain way before the spool is full of ratchet strap. So as I lifted it up, and then I would put something underneath it. I had a jack that I used underneath it, and I blocked it, and then I would release the handle, pull it tight again, then ratchet up some more until I got it high enough where I could pull the trailer off. So I ratcheted up and did this steps several times so that I could get it high enough to get the trailer out from underneath it. And it worked, wasn't too bad. So you can see here, it starts up, had to put a little air in the front tire. That front tire did not hold any air, and the rear tires do. You can see here starting it up, it works great. It seems like it runs fine, and it steers backwards and forwards pretty good, really fast. And this is just up off of idle. But it is surging a little bit, needs some carburetor work. But I noticed immediately that the steering was really touchy and really twitchy, and so I'm going to have to address that and, do all the regular stuff, pull the carburetor off and clean it. Let me show you that motor real quick. So here she is right here. It is a Bush Hog M2561. And, after I get to looking at this thing, it is built incredibly well. It's got a 61-inch deck that's made out of solid, thick steel. All the rollers are in real good condition on the deck. Everything is really here. And after looking at how Brush Hog built these, look at the size of the tire on that thing. That's a big old fat tire. So it has got a Kohler 25 horsepower. Somebody wired this air filter on there. And one thing I did notice about this, move this seat out of the way here real quick. It uses two separate hydraulic pumps right here, really robust big ones, to be honest with you. It's got a separate hydraulic tank. It's got a separate hydraulic filter on the return side. So you can see right here coming off the hydraulic pumps, it has two separate real nice hoses that run down to hydraulic motors on the wheels. It seems like that's a really robust heavy-duty setup. It works. I don't know how well it works, but it works. But the steering on this thing, and you can see some of the action right here. So it's not returning back to center. It would just stay going forward. That's not good. This needs to return back to middle. It has something to do with the spring setup or whatnot. These little dampener shocks are not good. I took this other side off, and sure enough, it has a real soft spot there in the middle right here. You can see it's just sloppy. That should be dampening better. I'm not really sure what I want to do with the seat there. I am not going to buy a new suspension seat because that frame on that seat is really robust. It's adjustable. It's super heavy duty. I need to figure out a way to make some kind of cover for this. A brand new suspension seat's about $700. A non-suspension seat that would go on here, they're anywhere from $200 to $400. I think I can take these covers off, make some plywood patterns, get some good foam, and cover it in some nice vinyl, maybe. I don't know the condition of the blades on here. Need to pull the deck off this and take a look at all that. Check out, make sure the bearings are good. Probably pull the gas tanks off. clean out the tanks. The things that I have bought so far, I did buy the 2 gas struts, or the 2 shocks that go on the steering handles. I did buy some tires for the front. They're the no flat style, or the solid ones. I did get a new oil filter, a new hydraulic filter. Here's those struts, and the little wing nuts that hold the all the covers on the deck. I ordered these. I did not realize they were so small, but they are the right thread size and they'll work for what we're going to do. I bought a new air filter cartridge replacement for it. Hydraulic oil, it says use 2050 regular oil in there. I've read a lot that says that you can use synthetic. I had a hard time finding a 2050 synthetic. I'm going to go ahead and use this 1550 synthetic in there, and we'll suck everything out of that tank. And I think I'm going to use this little deal right here. Bought it from Harbor Freight. We'll stick it down that tank, suck it out, and then try to cycle all the oil out of it with fresh oil. I am excited about getting this going. I'm not going to restore it. I might try to see if I can put some wax on that powder coat that Bush Hog used on it, but I'm not really interested in making it look great. I want it to be super functional, and it looks like it's going to do just that. So let's get started. Okay, so these aftermarket wheels, they are using a 3/4 inch hole. I should have paid more attention to that, but I figured that maybe this size, 13650 by 6, would have a common hole size, and it didn't. Now the original ones, they actually have a bearing in here, which is kind of nice. This is just bushing, but it is a larger bolt, and you know, that's going to last me probably forever like that. So let's get these drilled out, and then we'll mount these and put the proper spacers in there. All this together here, the big old long bolts and nuts and the drill bit, was all about 50 bucks. 20 bucks for the drill bit, 12 a piece for the long bolts. So let's put them on real quick. That'll work. thought that worked out pretty good. Well, look at there, disc brakes. Pretty nice. That is a substantial rear mount for that deck. Pretty nice. Whew, that mother is heavy. I don't know how I'm going to get that flipped over to look at it. Let's spin these blades, hear they sound. Not terrible. Not terrible. Sounds so good. And the problem with these idlers right here is that it doesn't, most of these you cannot change just the bearings out on. They're kind of made into this housing and then riveted together. Man, those are going to be noisy. That one's not terrible. All right. What about this one? Oh, it's quiet. Listen to that. Listen to that compared to this. Okay. So these blades are in pretty rough shape. I think I'll order 3 new ones. They're 21 inches. Let's get some heft to it. So So that sounds good. I think I'm going to throw this one back together. I'm not quite sure why it has that new pulley on it. It looks new, like somebody repaired it. But let's put this one back together. We'll grease it, and we'll yank one of the other ones apart. I don't really want to mess this one up if it, learning how to take it apart if it doesn't need it. All right, folks, we're back out in the shop today, and it is a hot morning. It's probably 90 degrees at 9 o'clock in the morning, so we'll see how long we can stay out and work on this little zero turn here. Here's what I got done in the last part of the video is I had the deck. I took that deck off, gave it a good bath, and then of course we saw that it had some bad bearings, right, in these two pulleys, and you can really hear that one. Now this one here, it's not quite as bad. Looked up these pulleys, and from the regular tractor supply places like Messick's and so forth, they want about $100 for that pulley. And I found one on eBay. The guy had one, and it was $69. And I thought, man, I'm going to grab that, because one of these, there's two of them on here, one here and here. One of them is worse than the other. This is the bad one. This is okay. And if you look at these, you can't take these apart and replace the bearings. They are two pieces put together with a normal bearing, a normal sealed bearing stuck in the middle. Maybe even two of them probably. And yeah, I could probably drill these rivets out and take it apart and then put little bolts and nuts back in there. Nah, I'm not going to do that. So I did buy that one that was $69, and this one, I'll show you what I'm going to do on it. So what I bought is I bought this little needle greaser. I thought I had one around here somewhere, but I didn't. It's a little needle that I think I can squeeze back behind this rubber part of this seal and throw some grease in there, because this one's pretty dry. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and do both of them. So we'll try that here in a second. Now the other thing, here's some of the other stuff that I ordered. This right here is the lower idler pulley underneath the lawnmower. It goes right here. So this is the little tensioner that goes on it, and it's spring loaded. The spring is right here. I took this off the other night. When I looked underneath here, the belt looked in pretty bad condition. Here's the two hydraulic pumps. Here's one, here's the other one. And the belt looked like it needed to be replaced. I thought, you know what, let's take a look at the pulley. And sure enough, the pulley was dry too. It doesn't surprise me. And this is going to be a little tougher to get to whenever I get this thing all together, so I just thought change it now. So here's the pulley that I found for that by size. It's not exactly the same, but the original pulley is about $60. I was able to find just an aftermarket cheapie. I mean, that was probably $10 for this pulley. It has a 3/8 diameter hole in the middle. It's roughly the same diameter as this, and the tensioner will compensate for that. And it's new. It's nice. So along with that, when I took the belt off, I ended up cutting it off. And here it is. You can see why I would want to change that out. It's a little more rough. So I measured the belt out. Came up with this one. And you know what? This is Aramid or Aramid. That is Kevlar. That is the name for Kevlar, actually. Made in India. So I hope it's the right size. Let's check that out. Yeah, it is. It's just a touch shorter. And you know what? That'll be fine. Now here's the other thing in this. There's 3 of these assemblies. You saw me take this one apart in the other part of the video. These bearings are really good in this. I did order 4 bearings for the other 2 spindles. But this one looks like maybe somebody changed the bearings out, and by the way it feels, it's got a different pulley on it. I don't know why, but that dude feels good. And then I'm glad I looked at all of that too. The blades are in horrible shape. I was able to find some Oregon blades, and let me tell you, there are a lot of blades to choose from. Funny thing about these blades here is they have a 1/2 inch hole, where a lot of the really heavy duty commercials use like a 5/8 hole or bigger. So I'm not quite sure why Bush Hog made those kind of small in the 1/2 inch range, but I'm looking at these, I'm happy. They're nice and thick. They've got a decent amount of lip here, and for cutting the stuff I'm going to cut out there at Perrin, this will really be good. Now these other 2 here, let's get these apart. There's a snap ring holding these together, the bearings in there on both sides. I'm not quite exactly sure how it comes apart, but let's take it apart real quick together.